Our next speaker is from IBM, and I just want to get this right. Okay. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a presentation that I was privileged to see about a month ago at a special presentation organized by IBM. And I felt that I should bring the speaker and the presentation to today's conversation. So we are very happy to have Jyotsna Mishra, Asia-Pacific Marketing Leader of IBM Watson Group, to share with you this special presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was in Sydney last week, and as I was coming back, basically on the flight back as I was checking in, I was told that my meal request, I'm vegetarian, was messed up. And I kind of walked towards the lounge, not particularly pleased about the fact that I had to go foodless for the best part of 8 hours. And I had pretty much made up my mind that I'd go in there, whip out my mobile phone, post something on Facebook which wouldn't be particularly complimentary. And by the time I boarded the flight, at least some of my few hundred friends on Facebook would have kind of empathized with me. It didn't quite come to pass that way, because when I reached the lounge, there was this delightful lady who basically had figured out that this had happened at the check-in counter. I had about 25 minutes left for the plane to take off, so she had about 10-15 minutes with me in the lounge. Within the time, she had organized to have a chef whip up something quick. She'd figured out that I love my wine, and she'd arranged for a glass of Merlot. And she'd spoken with the boarding gate to make sure that I could board as late as possible. And she basically turned the story around for me. And with that, of course, I didn't post what I had meant to post. What this brings me to say is that for us as marketers, the universe is becoming increasingly complicated. We've heard all morning about how customers are mobile, they're always with their phones, how they're always posting things, how they're social. The standards are very, very high. It's not like 10 years ago where people were more tolerant. And therefore, in this world of increasing complexity, how do we as marketers deal with these challenges? There are some things that have not changed, which brings me to the basics. One is we understand customers. Increasingly, though, not as segments, not as categories, as we used to in the past, but as individuals. The second is we want to maximize engagement with them at every point. And if we look back to what that lady did for me at the lounge, it was about delighting me and making a recovery from something that had gone wrong, and coordinating that across the check-in, across the lounge, and the boarding gate. And finally, what she did was bring the brand alive at that point in terms of making the brand promise come alive. We've all heard good things about, oh, this is a great way to fly, this is your home in the sky. But if she hadn't done what she had done, none of those smart statements that we marketers come up with would have held true. And as a wise man once said, the perfect solution, of course, for us as marketers is to serve each of our customers as individuals. And this would be very easy if there weren't that many customers. The problem is that there are 7 billion people out in the world, and we have a challenge, given our shrinking marketing budgets, given how much revenue our companies make, to serve them in a way that we can scale. This woman who interacted with me, basically she was like Sherlock Holmes, I felt. She knew exactly what I wanted. She figured out that I was hungry. She coordinated with the boarding gate. She put together all these bunch of clues to deliver deep insight and an experience that was highly insightful. But we can't all have all our customer service agents be Sherlock Holmes. Which brings me to something that's probably next best, it's Watson. Watson is cognitive computing. Now, this is a word that you might have kind of looked at, wondered what it's about. The word probably doesn't mean a whole lot to most of you out here. What I want to do in the remaining few minutes is really to open your mind to what cognitive computing is, and hope that you will go back and explore this world a lot more. So what is cognitive computing? Cognitive is another word for systems that think. And what do we mean by think? Think, if you break it down really, it boils down to three things. One is a system that understands natural language, that can interact with us in layman's terms, not using programs, not using code, but we speak the way we speak, because that's what humans are meant to do, and the system understands us. Secondly, it can give us recommendations and talk to us in terms of how it arrived at those recommendations. Not just answers, not one answer, but multiple answers with a degree of confidence, and share with us how it came up with that answer. And thirdly, and the most important thing of something that thinks, is the ability to learn. And traditionally, our systems have not had that. We've got to program it every single time. And what cognitive systems do is they learn and adapt based on user interactions and improve with time. So when we put these three together, what Watson can do, and I'm just going to throw a bunch of words at you out here, but I'll bring it alive in the remaining few minutes, is it has the ability to understand customers, engage customers, learn and improve over time, help people discover stuff, establish trust because it shows you how it's thinking. It has capacity for insight which you cannot deliver using traditional methods. And finally, it can do all of this in a real-time way, in a timely way, at the point where you need to make a difference to the customer, because there's no use having the greatest insight too late. And as marketers, therefore, this is all wonderful technology, but what does it mean to us as marketers? I'm just going to bring alive two examples which are going to show you, one, what kind of information it can handle and what it can do with that information. And secondly, how do you act on that information and make a difference at the point of buying, at the point where you need to connect with the customer to leave something that's emotional. I think all morning we heard about, if you will, the dichotomy between high-tech and high-touch. What I'll hopefully show you is that high-tech and high-touch can coexist. One example is the level of data that Watson can analyze and bring alive people's personalities. And what we did out here in this example, and again, if you want to know the details, please seek me out outside. I'm happy to kind of walk you through in further detail. Basically, we analyzed tweets. There are billions of tweets in the world, and every one of our customers, based on the tweets that they have, if you put it through a sophisticated algorithm, basically you can arrive at things which have never been arrived at, things like personality. And if you boil that down to, is a person inherently extroverted, introverted? How open are they to new experiences? What is their personality type? You can boil down and arrive at their intrinsic needs and values. What kind of curiosity level do they have? And in this example, what kind of excitement do they seek? In terms of their intrinsic values, do they seek self-enhancement? Do they seek kind of justice. What do they seek? Even down to the time of day. Is this person in a particular time zone? What are they doing in that time zone, which is not their home time zone? And therefore, what's the best time to interact with them? You pull this all together and combine it with your traditional demographic behavioral data. And what you have is an insight into a customer at an individual level, which you've never had before. And you can do this at scale. It's not, it doesn't take a human in front of that individual to do it on a personalized basis like we've been used to in the past, but you can do this at scale. The second thing that I'm going to showcase to you is really how you can deploy this at the point that you're engaging with a customer. And for that, I'm just going to play a quick video.
We are all familiar with e-commerce. As a $1.25 trillion industry that is growing nearly 20% per year, it is a very large market. However, nearly 70% of online shopping carts are abandoned today. Almost 60% of these abandonments are due to lack of relevant information, and nearly 40% are because shoppers were not given the opportunity to ask questions. This demonstration of Fluid's expert personal shopper, powered by IBM Watson, shows how these challenges can be addressed by putting some of the qualities of the best in-store sales associates in the hands of every consumer, every time. Let's say I'm planning an outdoor expedition. I go to the North Face website and instead of using keyword searches, radio buttons, and drop-down menus, I ask my question the same way I would ask a manager at the North Face's physical store. I ask, I'm gearing up for a 14-day backpacking trip. What equipment do I need? Watson is able to understand my question, including a colloquial phrase such as gearing up, and it reads through the millions of pages of product information, blog posts, and relevant trade and consumer magazines to find the gear that matches my requirements. I'm presented with a rich and engaging visual experience that highlights the exact gear important for a multi-day backpacking trip. I know I definitely need a pack, so I want to know more about technical packs. I ask, can you show me technical packs? As the types of backpacks are displayed, I realize that I don't know the difference between the categories and start to feel overwhelmed. Normally, this is where I would abandon the process and either head to a store to talk to someone more knowledgeable or resolve myself to hours of online research. But instead, I turn to Watson and simply ask a very specific, personalized question. What technical pack is needed for an expedition to Fitzroy, Patagonia in the winter? By asking the question as I did, I bypassed the broader categories altogether and focused on the needs of my exact trip. Watson must correlate a large number of factors, such as the location of Fitzroy, Patagonia, and its average winter temperature at the base and at the peaks. If I were curious, I could click on the Evidence button to see the information Watson used to pull its recommendation together. I noticed something about the technology Watson suggested, called ABS, that I wanted to know more about, so I asked, can you tell me more about ABS technology? Here, Watson understands the context of my question. If I had used traditional search, I would have had tens of millions of hits, most of which focused on anti-lock brakes. Instead, Watson tells me about the avalanche airbag system. I am presented with a video within the screen on ABS, allowing me to satisfy my curiosity. At this point, I'm liking the Prophet 65, but I want to know what others think. I would usually go to Amazon to get ratings and reviews, even if I wanted to buy the Prophet 65 from the North Face. Almost 30% of digital shoppers leave a retailer's site for user reviews, and this significantly influences cart abandonment. I write, I like the Prophet 65. How is it rated? Watson reads through tens of thousands of reviews from multiple sources, including the North Face. He comes back with useful, relevant reviews, including video testimony. I am again impressed with how relevant the response is to my question and feel ready to get my equipment knowing it's right. I click the Buy Now button. As I'm getting ready to check out, I'm presented with cold weather sleeping bags, which is another of the product categories I was shown at the outset of my shopping experience. This encourages me to expand my purchases, and now that I know I'll get the guidance I need, I'm ready to do so. This experience demonstrates fundamental shifts from how we shop online today. We are going from an impersonal, retailer-defined, and keyword-driven linear journey to working with an expert, personalized shopper that can build buyer confidence similar to a knowledgeable in-store associate. This is clearly a game changer for retailers and manufacturers as we look into the future of online shopping.
I'm going to skip over this, but hopefully that gave you some ideas of what you could do if you could put your best sales advisor in front of each of your customers all the time, 24/7, and have them completely knowledgeable about all your products, completely up to date, and do so without the risk of that sales advisor ever leaving you. What will you do with Watson? Go out into the world, go onto YouTube, and if you type IBM Watson and hit search, you'll see some examples of what is beginning to be done, but what's more interesting is what is coming. And we want each of you to be part of that story. So do share with us your ideas and how you think you could apply Watson in your business, and would love to have a conversation with you on that. And my coordinates are there. Thank you.